What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more of The Cure, and we're going to begin going through a select set of tunes from the second disc of the deluxe edition of Three Imaginary Boys, 1979, and we're going to listen to Boys Don't Cry, which I understand was eventually used as the title track for the American version of this release. Now, full disclosure, I did a reaction, not posted, for what I thought was the only version of this tune available in the second disc, which is to say, the studio demo. And then I looked more closely at the track list and I saw the additional bonus track included later in the playlist, which I understand to be the proper version that was released on the American album. So yes, I'm not going to post that one as I said, given that this is the regular version of the tune. Perhaps at some point I can circle back and react to it. But for now, we're going to go through this and a handful of others and then move on to the next album. But the point is, I am minorly or very moderately familiar with this song now. My understanding is that the studio demo sounds much more raw than the final version, so I expect it to have a more polished feel to it. And I will say I noticed the vocals had a very echoey, almost like garage band sound. I expect that to be different as well. But it's funny because when I did that reaction and I talked in the opening about the title, my thinking was that it probably related to the way in which around the world in different societies and cultures, boys, males growing up are expected not to show too much emotion, and certainly not too much emotion in the range of hurt or pain, because that shows vulnerability, and vulnerability is interpreted, at least in some quarters, as weakness. Now, when I heard the tune, not catching all the lyrics, but at least a few of them along the way, my thought was it was less about external perception and more about individual psychological struggle and reaching an emotional impasse such that you know it's not desirable to show that type of pain as a boy, and so you end up turning it into laughter, but more about the ability of yourself to articulate emotion and not so much about worrying about, oh, well, I'm going to be seen as weak if I do this. So also what I caught from the lyrics on the first listen to the studio demo is that it's about a broken heart and that feeling of not being able to turn a person back to you. Indeed, I think there was a line about how he'd do anything he could to bring this woman back, but she's already gone, so there's literally no possibility of that happening, and then having to hold and deal with that feeling in a world where boys don't cry. So I don't expect the lyrics to be terribly different, but vocally and sonically I expect it to have a fuller sound, so let's hear it. This is The Cure, the track is Boys Don't Cry, and it's included here on the second disc of the deluxe edition of Three Imaginary Boys, 1979.
If I thought that it would change your mind, but I know that this
light of having heard it a first time, I feel like I picked up a bit more lyrical specificity this time. I will say, first and foremost, it definitely sounds more polished. The vocals sound more clear and true and less echoey and garage band. But yeah, I realized it's more his fault, and he's saying that. He's saying, you know, I've said too much this time, and I can't take it back. And he's then trying to lie to himself, maybe not only about the nature of the intense emotion he's feeling, laughing instead of crying, but also in maybe convincing himself that it wasn't the way that he knows it was. He's trying to tell himself a story about what happened and maybe try to internalize that rather than facing the truth of what really drove her away. And he also seems to be saying that he took her love for granted, that it was like, well, you know, she's always going to be here and it doesn't matter, I can act, you know, sort of cavalierly or speak unthinkingly, and then whoops, it's too late, she's gone, and now I realize I had something special and I didn't really appreciate it as such. So it feels more self-angry or directed at oneself than I realized listening to the studio demo. And yeah, I like the way when it gets to the chorus, it feels like the "boys don't cry" line is almost arrhythmic. It goes out of the rhythmic structure and just sort of extends and drags over the top of the percussion rhythm of the tune, which I don't know, again, if I picked that up on the listen to the studio demo. So yeah, it feels like almost the emotions are bleeding out and, you know, going beyond what they're supposed to, which again, it sounds much more internal struggle than I realized even on the first listen, picking that up a little bit. And in that regard, the expectations feel like they're more self-related than, you know, people looking and saying, oh, there's a boy who's crying and, you know, he's doing what he's not supposed to. So definitely sounds like a fuller, better version of the tune. I think it makes perfect sense to me that this was included on the American version of the album. My only question would be, why was this left off of the UK version? So yeah, a really cool track, a bit of a post-punk sound, obviously mixed with that new wave atmosphere a bit. So yeah, really cool one. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.